So obviously Nike marketed Caitlyn Clark a lot. They marketed her a lot through college, and it was the reason why Caitlyn Clark signed that Nike deal. As I've said plenty of times, she signed one of the worst deals in history that is only going to be worth it if she gets her signature shoe. And gets her signature shoe soon. Because if you don't know, she signed a 4-year or an 8-year, $28 million deal with Nike. If it sounds too incredibly low, I actually think 1 year, $28 million is probably closer to her actual value than 8 years, $28 million. She made, I would say, 20% of what she was actually worth based on an 8-year deal. She is a generational athlete. She is a generational athlete marketability-wise. There has not been an athlete like this as far as the ability to move products, in my opinion, since Stephen Curry, maybe. And that was the Steph mania. Before Steph, the last time I think that an athlete has been able to move product like Caitlyn Clark can move product, as we've seen, by the way, Wilson as a company they can't make enough Caitlyn Clark basketballs. They can't make enough Caitlyn Clark basketballs. They're doing everything they can to milk this for all it's worth. Like, if you guys don't know, I'm not wearing it currently right now. Like, if you guys want a relatively cheap hoodie based somewhat on her, we got these hoodies right here. If you want a relatively cheap one, we got them here. They're like $29.99. If you want a t-shirt, you can get them for $14.99. Like, we're not charging much here on the Make Talks Hoops channel. But Nike have done nothing. Nike have done absolutely nothing. They've had no merch. They've had no shoe, whatever it's signature shoe. They've had no merch for Caitlyn Clark. They've had nothing. They had the Wemby logo quicker than this. They've done nothing for her. But also, now let's take a look at this. If only Nike's quarterly sales and profits slump as it faces shoppers' sluggish demand for its products. Like, I'm sorry. If you want, at least a pickup, if you want something that at least looks good to investors, at least be able to say, while yes, overall things are down, but we have sold X amount of product based on this one athlete. We have this athlete signed. Who would have ever had the most, in my opinion, maybe the most marketable athlete we have seen since Stephen Curry a decade ago? In the last decade, there has not been a more marketable athlete in any sport. And do you want to know why I say Caitlyn Clark is the most marketable athlete? Maybe like Neymar or Mbappe. Maybe Neymar and Mbappe. Because obviously they are much bigger. But obviously basketball is a bit of a different sport. But because it is American centric. But Caitlyn Clark has fans in Africa. She's got fans in Asia. She's got huge fans in the Philippines. She's got fans in China. She's got fans all over Europe. I wouldn't be surprised if she's got a couple of fans down low in Antarctica. She probably has fans, again, that are so south that if you're a flat earther, you probably don't even think these countries exist. I'm talking about you, Rag Reynolds. She's got fans in Australia, that real country. Is it Rag Reynolds? Was that his name? The guy who said Australia didn't exist? Either way. She's got fans everywhere. And the problem with these fans is they will flock. They will flock and buy anything Caitlyn Clark related. Like, that is for the next video. I had it teed up by Teresa Weatherspoon. But if you have not seen how things sell, the Caitlyn mania is there. Like, fans want to buy Caitlyn Clark merch. There are very, very few people that are in sports that people want to buy merch of. Like, for example, Giannis Antetokounmpo's shoes. People buy them just because they're Nike shoes and they're not that expensive. Nobody buys the shoes really for Giannis. Sabrina Ionescu, no offense to her, people buy those shoes because they look like Kobe's. They could actually release literally anything. They could release anything, and Caitlyn Clark would sell out. She would sell out. I'm sorry, my nose is so itchy right now. But always happens when I hit record. But they genuinely will. Like, she'll sell anything. You could sell absolutely anything with Caitlyn Clark, about Caitlyn Clark, and it will sell. As I've shown, I've sold them absolute shitload of these. I've sold tons of these. I barely make a profit off them. It's more just because people think they're cool. But anything with Caitlyn Clark's face in it will sell. It will 100% sell. And the reality is that a lot of people are saying, oh, this is a whole Nike issue. And I mean, it is. It is. But a lot of people talk about how Michael Jordan saved Nike, how Tiger Woods, what he did for Nike. And my biggest thing is that, let's just say, I'm just going to talk about this right here. Nike tennis. Nike tennis was destroyed. Was absolutely, completely destroyed as a whole thing when they lost Roger Federer. When they lost Roger Federer to Uniqlo and then to On, becoming an owner in On. They had tennis in a freaking chokehold. Nike tennis lost so much when Federer left. Federer was bigger than the brand. If you get Federer in, who might be the most marketable athlete in the history of sports, there's never been I don't think there's ever been a more universally liked athlete than Roger Federer. The man was the most squeaky clean athlete ever. But even through the recession, people saying they can't afford groceries, even through the 2008 recession, Roger Federer was still able to move stock at Nike. He was still, at his peak of his powers, able to move stock. And even in retirement, he was still, him moving to On, he might have been the biggest name in tennis. And that's the thing is that you're seeing an athlete has the ability to either raise the profile of a brand or save a brand. People don't realize when they're like, oh, Caitlyn Clark's not going to do that, not going to change anything. People don't realize Under Armour, as a totality, had overtaken Adidas in US sportswear, mostly accredited to Stephen Curry in 2015, 2016. They ended up going almost toe-to-toe with Nike, and they credited almost all of it to Stephen Curry. We have seen brands like this. We've seen Li Ning get a foothold in the basketball scene because of Dwayne Wade. And yes, obviously Nike is Nike. Nike's on top. But the problem is that the only way you stay on top is by making sure you're on top of things. And they are not on top of an athlete who, no offense to Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade's one of my favorite players of all time. I'm a Heat fan. He's one of my favorite players ever. Caitlyn Clark is a bigger merchandise mover than Dwayne Wade. Everywhere in the world, including China. Outside of Kobe Bryant, in fairness, Kobe Bryant, I keep forgetting, was that elite merchandise mover more so than LeBron James. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Stephen Curry, Caitlyn Clark in basketball are the four biggest merchandise movers ever, and Nike are choosing to ignore one of them during one of their worst spells ever. And yeah, there are other problems with Nike. But you know what? At least you could maybe argue that there is some sort of a bright future if they weren't just ignoring the best. They essentially scammed Caitlyn Clark. They effectively scammed her. Not obviously scammed her because she accepted it. They got so lucky that whoever was naive enough to sign an 8-year deal with them, she's worth 10 times that. You have the most marketable athlete in the United States right now on a contract where she's only getting paid realistically 10% of what she's worth. You could make your money back per year on Caitlyn Clark by just literally releasing a, one of those Kobe's. Give Vanessa Bryant the cut that she gets. And then, you know what? Let's take a small cut out of yourself. Give a small cut to Caitlyn Clark. And then just from your Nike profit, make them yours, have a million of them sell, and make your money back. But Nike have screwed this up so much. And the problem is that they're going to lose so much money on A'ja Wilson shoes. They're going to lose so much money. And do you want to know why? Do you want to know why I know they're going to lose so much money on A'ja Wilson shoes? Because this is a shoe that is on sale in Elvery's in Ireland. If you know anything about Elvery's, it doesn't really have the greatest basketball anything. It is on sale in a shop called Elvery's. There's a random sports shop that focuses on Irish sports. They are on sale in Elvery's. The Cosmic Unity 3. A'ja Wilson was the face of the Cosmic Unity. They made her the face of a shoe. Obviously, it wasn't her signature shoe, but they made her the face of a shoe. It tanked. Nobody bought it. They've already tried to make her the face of a shoe, and yet they gave her own custom PE, but they tried to make her the face of the shoe, just like they did with Wembanyama with whatever the shoe was last year. GT Hustle, I think. And it flopped. It flopped. But, yeah, it is what it is. See you, lads.